I grew up in what some consider the middle of nowhere, just a sweltering pit stop for overpriced gas on what used to be Route 66. But to me, it always felt like somewhere, and in some ways, it still feels like home. Heading south on I-40, just after the Vegas turnoff, there is a bend in the road where Needles, California appears as an oasis after 142 miles of seemingly empty California desert. My heart still sings at the sight of it. The Mojave Valley is beautiful. At sunrise and sunset, the endless desert sky bleeds yellow, orange, and pink into purple mountains and white dunes, giving way to verdant brush and sandy beaches along the deep, clear water of the cold, wide Colorado River. The river's blue-green color in Mojave is called Havasu, which is now the name of a muddy brown man-made lake several miles downriver. In Needles, you can see for miles in every direction, and at night, the stars seem close enough to touch. But if you look closer, you might lose sight of the beauty. The homes you can see from the highway are in shambles, encircled by rusting vehicles. At any time of day, driving downtown, you may not see another car for blocks. On Broadway, you will notice boarded-up businesses and empty lots where buildings once stood. You are not likely to see pedestrians unless you happen to be there during a celebration like Mojave Days, when the whole town comes out. There is no longer a grocery store. In its place is a store called 99 Cents Only, which is right down the road from a Dollar Tree and a Dollar General. Locals say the town is dying. The population is dwindling, and well-meaning adults are telling high-ability students to leave, that they cannot succeed in life if they stay in Needles. But it wasn't always this way. For past generations, it was a land of opportunity. My grandfather, one of his brothers, and some of their cousins moved to Needles from Winslow, Arizona in the 1950s to work for the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, which is still the main industry there. My mother, her 4 siblings, and their many cousins were born and raised in Needles, and while some moved elsewhere, most stayed, got married, and had families. When my sister and I were growing up, we felt like we were related to half the town. That could be part of the reason we were forbidden to date until after we graduated high school, but the primary motivation behind this rule was that my parents did not want us to get stuck in Needles. We were going to college because we were too smart to stay. In high school, or maybe as early as middle school, my peers and I were taught that success could only be obtained by moving to a city, and specifically not by staying in Needles. Staying was synonymous with failure. It meant resigning to mediocrity. Those of us who showed academic or athletic potential were actively persuaded to leave for our own good. We were warned that a lot of Needles kids dropped out of college and came home because they were too used to being big fish in a small pond and couldn't hack it in the real world. Or they came back to Needles to work on the railroad after college, a lesser failure. Coming back meant giving up, with a severity of shame dependent on the conditions of your return. And there are no secrets in a small town. Some of my peers stayed or returned by choice or circumstance anyway, but most make excuses and apologies for their presence there. As the population has declined, the town has decayed. Needles is in desperate need of revitalization. But how can the town hope to improve if the most promising young people are leaving for college and careers and not returning with their new expertise? And how can those who stay or return be motivated to revive a community in which they feel demeaned and disrespected? Improving the quality of life for residents of Needles depends on the retention of young people who are personally invested in the community. If you replace the name and geographic descriptions of the town, this could be the story of any other diminishing rural place. It is a common story. So common, in fact, that this occurrence has a name: rural brain drain. While not a new phenomenon, recent trends in education have exacerbated the issue. As in other rural schools, Needles High School's curriculum has been pared down to a college preparatory track, excluding the learning and training opportunities for other post-high school choices they once offered. This practice ironically fails to adequately prepare college-bound students for the university experience, and perhaps more critically, neglects the educational needs of students who do not plan to attend college. Standards-based education has played a pivotal role in removal of non-college educational paths. No Child Left Behind has given way to Common Core state standards, which may be an improvement, but are not a complete solution. The goal of Common Core state standards is to prepare students for college and careers, but they fail to define the differences between these two tracks or consider local implications. In most schools, teachers focus on teaching national and state standards to prepare students for success on external tests, to the exclusion of local needs. While standards are mandated, they should not be treated as a curriculum, but should be used as a framework for curriculum development. Educational renewal must take place at the local level. Comprehensive schools that meet the needs of all students can be created through collaboration and cooperation among educators, policymakers, local groups, and community stakeholders. Schools should offer flexible choices from among several educational paths that all include challenging learning experiences. Not everyone wants to go to college, but every student deserves an education that will help them to succeed in the world as it exists today and in the foreseeable future. Success is not something only found in cities. It can be obtained in the places people are already living. Those who leave to earn college degrees may choose to return when economic opportunities exist in their communities and they feel connected to the place. Standardized education has established a uniform, generic educational format that is not socially or geographically relevant for learners. Grunewald claims that synthesizing critical pedagogy and place-based education will not only result in more engaging, authentic learning, but can improve the overall well-being of communities. Critical pedagogy insists that learners reflect on social experiences, determine patterns of oppression, and take social action to transform the status quo, while place-based education focuses on understanding and improving ecological and rural conditions. Society necessarily exists within ecological systems, and place irrefutably shapes society, so the two are not mutually exclusive, but elaborately intertwined. Critical pedagogy of place is an educational framework that considers human relationships with each other and with our environments, and empowers students to improve their circumstances. This approach means getting students out of the classroom and into the natural world as often as possible. Learning activities should allow students to interact with the community in meaningful ways. Helping students connect to the place they live will empower those who choose to stay to continue their involvement in improving the community. Those who choose to move elsewhere will be able to transfer their experiences to benefit their new communities. And with a strong connection to their hometowns and an established space in a collaborative community, college graduates are more likely to return and use their advanced learning to improve the community and possibly create economic opportunities. Rural schools have a responsibility to the communities in which they exist to help young people find and create success wherever they choose to live. Instead of mining high-ability students, extracting them from rural areas and small towns, schools should foster the growth of all students in the place they live by teaching skills that will help them succeed anywhere. So here I am, a Needles High School graduate, on the verge of finishing my MA in education, and about to start looking for a teaching position. Will I return to Needles and advocate for a comprehensive high school and critical pedagogy of place in my hometown? Will I be a newcomer to a different rural area where I'll have to learn about the community and local environment in order to connect with students and connect them to their community and place? Or will I choose to live in an urban center, as I have been encouraged to do? I still don't know, but now that I understand how I could personally improve my alma mater, the choice to return has never seemed more feasible or more rewarding. I feel like I could really make a difference, but my mind still fights against the ingrained idea that my return would signify failure, even with an advanced degree. In the next few months, as I explore available career opportunities, I will make the decision between rural and urban. I may not return to my hometown, but I'm leaning rural. While I enjoy living in urban areas and know that I would find joy in urban teaching, rural communities, like Needles, need teachers like me.